So this video is going to be a little different from my last. Well, most of the videos I make. Anywho, I find myself needing to take apart this lower unit. Why do you ask? Because it's kind of corroded, kind of ugly, and it's got a broken fin right here. So I wouldn't put this back to use in its current condition, or because of its broken problems. So I'm going to strip it down for parts. Also, it's got a little notch right there. I don't know if that's supposed to be there, or if that's broken. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Probably supposed to be there. Anywho, so I need to take this apart. To do that, it's a bearing carrier housing, seal, whatever you want to call it, down here. To get that off, you need a special tool. Problem is, I don't have that special tool. So, this video, should it be successful, we'll be showing you what I'm going to do instead. So, bear with me. So here is our 1974 parts. Now, what is this thing? Special service tools from 1974. That is the part we need. These engines were introduced in 1974, therefore this tool was new in 1974. So, I don't really care to read all that out, but basically what it does, installs there, and a little part right there, pulls it apart. Little nut goes back on top, and in theory, the thing comes apart just fine. So we need part number 0. Again, they use a 7-digit number now. 0386631. So let's go ahead and look that up. Alright, let's go to boats.net. Find our part number. As you can see, my internet's great. Alright, here we are on boats.net. We need part number 0386631. Search. Alright, $62. And not available. Lovely. Well, let's copy our part number here. We'll go try the old eBay. It's a good place for older stuff. Paste our part number in. Search. Oh look! Oh wait, that's a shower head. Alright. Well, let's take the 0 out of there maybe. Zero results found, but we got some other unrelated parts that we don't need. Alright, so we're not buying that one. But wait, let's check in our new book, shall we? Ah, there it is again. See if I can zoom in correctly. Alright, we already know the 386631 ain't gonna happen, but the newer catalog lists the parts individually. So, all we need to do is find our screw and find our bridge. So, let's go see what we can do for that. Well, let's check out the individual parts. First one is the screw, which is 0319873. Alright, screws individual. We need 2 of them, so we're at, 30 something dollars, 34 almost. Alright, we can still buy the screws new, so that's good. See the add to cart button there? That's handy. So let's check the other one. 0319874. This is called the bridge. $27.99, so not horrible. And it's not available. Lovely. Alright, so we know we can get new screws. So let's go check out the bridge. That's what they call it. Well, nothing there. Let's try taking the 0 out and see what happens. Absolutely nothing there. Let's take out Evinrude. Let's try that. Nothing, and this isn't the best way to search, but we'll give it a try taking that out as well. And this is just a bunch of crap. By the way, if you're an eBay seller and you list the same thing over and over and over again, it's just annoying. Stop it. You could just have a couple listings in here, for your Ethernet cable, your tractor, and your alternator, and then that'd be it. But no, you do it 15 times. We'll see. This is what I don't like about eBay, the random crap you see in here. Anywho, so let's go with our plan C here. So the screws are available new and available, well, aftermarket. Not really aftermarket, but used. There were some on eBay. I didn't show you that in the video because it didn't really matter because you can still buy them new. So, I have my stuff, 2 of the screws, the important pieces. Why I say important? Because I can't just go over to my drill and make one of these. Next thing we need is a bridge. So, in fair warning, this isn't my first attempt at doing this. This is actually my second. First one kind of failed. That was my attempt at a bridge. That's just a piece of metal I found over at the neighbor's scrap heap. That ain't gonna work. So I went ahead and bought some high-strength tool steel with what I can only guess is to be the proper diameter. I don't know what diameter. Thickness and length. Length was easy to figure out. You just measure how far apart the bearing housing is, you know, like so. Measure and then guess how long this needs to be, like so. Thickness, that was a pure guess. I put the nut on there, measured how much room was left, and that's how thick I got it. The same with this. I measured the diameter of the propeller shaft and guessed at how wide it should be. So that's kind of what I did. So now I'm going to measure the points. Let's call it point A, B, and C. A and C being the screws, B being our propeller shaft that would run through the center. So that's my theory, and let's see if it works. First thing I need to do is get out the old bolts out of here. All right, bolts are out. Put our tool screws in. Now, I've never actually used one of these tools, so I don't know how far these things are supposed to go in. But I'm going to go ahead and take a shot in the dark and say not any higher or lower than the propeller shaft there. So that's where our screws need to be. Ish. Might go in more, but I bet there you should probably do it. Again, never actually done this. Tried, failed. This is try B. Try 2, whatever. So, that's what we need. So in theory, our bridge will sit right on top of this stuff. We tighten down our propeller nut and it forces this up. That's the theory. So basically what I need to do is measure out the diameter of our propeller shaft there, diameter of these little pins, put a big hole here, 2 little ones on each side. You see the working theory there? This could have been a little shorter, probably about like so, but whatever. At least this way, if I mess up, I can move it over and try again, which I probably will. All right. Our soon-to-be bridge is exactly 1 inch wide, which means our center line is going to be the 1/2 inch point. That was pretty easy to figure out, luckily. I'm not that good with measurements, so you're going to have to bear with me. So I'll put a little mark on the 1/2 inch side, and a mark on the other end, right to the 1/2 inch side. So now what I'll do, line those 2 lines up best I can, keeping the ruler on that side of my marks, so my Sharpie, in theory, should be right at 1/2 inch. I can be a little off, can't be that far off. This is, I haven't done much perfection machining, so this is going to be a little bit learning curve. Looks like that end I'm right at my 1/2, or close enough rather. That side, hair off, but it'll work fine. So let's use that as our center line. So this thing is 6 inches wide, perfect, which means at 3 inches is where our center is going to be, which is right there. So let's make a mark on my ruler. So that cross is our dead center-ish enough of our bridge. Now this is going to be a little tricky to see. So those are parallel, but it doesn't look like it when you're way zoomed in like that. It's also the angle of my camera probably ain't helping. See if I can make that better for you. Nope. Well, anywho, so let's just know those are parallel. So, I'm gonna put this as dead centered to that pin as I can get it. Which ain't that much. That looks like our next center pin is exactly. So your angle looks like 2. Well, I'm using the 1, but it looks like it's on 3/4. 3/4 is way off from what I'm looking at. I'm looking at more like 5/8. Make sense? So I'm going to put the mark right at 1 5/8. So it was a little past 1 5/8, but anywho, see the theory? I fully anticipate these lines to be a hair off. I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference, but when I'm doing the drills, I'll just remember to move them in just a hair. So, according to my perfect measuring, the prop shaft diameter is 27/64, and the little diameter of the pin here is 15/64. So I'm going to go the next size up. I'm going to use a 7/16 drill bit for the prop shaft, and a 1/4 inch for each one of these bolt chinguses. So, I'm going to go take my bridge over to the neighbor's house who's got a drill press. I'm not going to take the tripod and camera with me because it's a far walk. But I'll return shortly. Well, got the tool made. Holes were a little off center. I forget which one, but one of them walked over sideways, and that's where I started drilling. I tried getting it centered again. Didn't happen. So I fixed it by making that one off too. So instead of it sitting flat like so, it'll just sit like that. I don't think it'll give me issues at all. So I needed to ream the center hole out a little. It's debatable. Might be a little too close for comfort. But the thing definitely fits on there. So hopefully this one won't bend on me. The theory here is you put the top nut on, tighten it down, and it pulls this thing up. No idea how that actually works, but apparently it does. So let's get our nut on there and give it a try. Should use a socket for this, but on my junk bench over here I got a big wrench, so why not? Honestly, it kind of looks like my high strength tool is already bending. Yeah, I think it is. But also, see that crack there? Ooh, might actually be working. Let's keep going. Ooh, fancy. So at that point, let me go up a little so you can see what happened. Still can't. Anyway, the nut and that bottomed out. So I'm going to go back off a little bit. Raise these guys up. Give it some more working room, if you will. Trying to keep them as level as possible. And I'll continue going down now. This just bent. Why? I do not know. Hopefully it's not a permanent kind of damage, which it may be. Let's hope not. I mean, the thing is almost out, so it really shouldn't be that bad. One option, I suppose, too, is getting a wrench and turning each one of these. I'm going to give that a try. I think I may have damaged one screw already, so at this point, might as well just keep going, right? So I'll try to go about a 1/4 return on each bolt. Looks like it might be working. Thing is pretty well corroded inside of there too. Well, not really corroded, but corrosion is starting. Let's go with that. I don't know why my screw here bent. I might be a bent screw down there in the housing. I don't know. Like I said, I'll replace the screw if I have to. Really could use one of these tools. So maybe I mean, this thing was like 18 bucks for this little piece of metal right here, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So that bridge was already kind of expensive. But these screws are, you know, that each. Well, it's not moving any more than that. I think we're at the end of our threads on our screws here. So I guess that's out, maybe? I don't know. Let's take this nut off. See what damage is done to our screws. With any luck, none. The bridge, actually, I don't think it's bent at all. Yeah, bridge is fine. Good. Our screw, on the other hand, appears to be also fine. As does this one. Alright, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and say our bridge tool setup works perfectly fine. I think it's just user error and not know what he's doing. So this thing is nearly out. I don't know why it's stopping at this point. I put some PV Blaster along the rim here where the taper starts. Figured that might help it loosen up a little bit. And also I was kind of at the end of the puller reach here, so I took these off and put some washers under my bridge. Figured it would give me another 1/8 of an inch or so of pulling space. And also, what I think happens, this thing isn't quite centered in here. It's off just a hair. And I think when somebody redid this engine, or maybe resealed it, they put these screws in a little sideways, because I don't have much threads on the very end here, which is what this puller leg needs to be able to force it the rest of the way out. So I need to rely on this one in order to get the rest of the way up. So it's not out yet, but I hooked it all back up. It looks like that is the end of it, because I can feel this one just spinning now. So I think I'm out of room. In theory, this should come out now. So it's obviously not really just falling out of there. It could be either I'm doing this wrong, no idea what I'm doing, which is, you know, possible, or I lower unit's piece crap. I'm gonna go with the lower unit's piece crap, but you know, who knows. Yeah, that's the end of that one right there. So obviously that carrier, bearing carrier, this thing, exhaust housing, through pipe exhaust housing, I don't know what you want to call it, but it obviously ain't out. Screws are just sitting in the holes now. Tapping approach ain't working. So let me get this off here. The amount of washers. Well, they were pretty much done. Yeah, that one didn't have much left either. So that's as far up as my little homemade puller is going to go. You can see how much travel now is there and why there wasn't really moving. Pretty sure it was designed at this point for this thing to come out. Obviously it's not, so something is the foot. I go in there with my gasket chisel, see if I can't pry it up the rest of the way. Not really looking like it's moving it at all. This is a learning curve for me. So prying tool number 1, prying tool number 2. Well, apparently that worked fine. So, you can see our taper is not really that far. This thing has a slight taper to it. In theory, what should have happened is the second that popped up, it should have came the rest of the way. It obviously didn't. No idea why. Like I said, either my tool was junk, gear case was junk, or I have no idea what I'm doing. But it's apart now, so that's all I was after. It came out, doesn't look like anything was damaged. So I vote success, really. See how much corrosion's going on inside of there? So, yeah, I vote gear case is a problem. You can also see some metal shavings inside of there. But anyhow. So if you got any questions, let me know. But